competitors because
Yeah.
competitors tend to have body dysmorphia a lot because like you never think you look the way you look. Like I know. And Luke always thinks he's small. I'm like, oh my Lord, do you look at yourself? So no. But yes, they're both good topics. Right. Taylor says she still sees herself as she was, not the size I am now. And so I mean that's typical. So let's just get into that then because
Yeah.
I think that a lot of people think of body dysmorphia as, it's a disorder. Which it is. However, there are so many
There's
ranges of that.
like a spectrum of
Like,
it,
it
right?
doesn't have to be like, oh, I've got this severe problem because I think this way. A lot of times that's just how we think. And our mind always thinks of the way we used to be. And I've heard many people talk about this. And I always think about, growing up, I was super skinny until I got my tonsils out. I don't think I was able to grow. And, I was just a stick, like 60 pounds going into high school. It was ridiculous. I wore a size 8.5 shoe. I pretty much was like a clown, in my mind. And so in my mind, I'm still like, I don't have any muscle, and like I see myself, I know I have more muscle, but in my mind, that's how I grew up. And so that's how I think of myself as it's like, I am the skinny, fat, can't gain muscle person. And, some people are on the opposite end and they always see themselves, if they have grown up, on the heavier side and lost weight, they still see themselves as heavy. Even if they're looking at themselves and they can clearly see they're not, that is who they are in their mind. So elaborate, Katie. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I think you're right when you said something about competitors even like not being able to see themselves as other people do. I remember talking to a couple of them at the last show we went to, and it's so true, right? Like you just hear them say all the time, yeah, but I don't have big enough shoulders, or I have too much size in the hips or something like that, or whatever it might be, right? Like there's this constant like I'm not good enough. It's never going to be good enough. And I feel like there's a purpose for wanting to be better. Obviously it's motivating, but when is it also discouraging or kind of like self-depleting, right? It's not so good for the self-esteem. And I think that's where the obsessive tendencies kind of come from then, right? Because we go back to the drawing board and then we try to like change our protein by 1.5 grams for the day, and that feels obsessive, right? Like if we're only making adjustments in the tiny little details, but that that 1.5 grams costs us an hour and a half of our time, and our stress is going out the roof, all of that sort of thing. I think that's where this girl was worried about her body dysmorphia and obsessive tendencies, and I don't see her on here.
Good morning, Lottie. So I think the key thing here is that, okay, you've got body dysmorphia, which is a disorder. And most of us are probably falling more on this side of the obsessive tendencies usually come from, it's not a body morphia disorder. It's more of a disordered thinking in
Mm-hmm.
that we pick ourselves apart so hard that we become obsessive about that,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we don't necessarily have body dysmorphia where like we actually don't see ourselves that. It's just like we tend to not be satisfied. So we pick ourselves apart and then we get into those obsessive tendencies, and that cycle begins of this should be better, this should be better, this should be better. What can I do? A, B, C. And I think it all boils down to knowing that where you are now, no matter where you are, you may not want to be there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So instead of this obsessive thinking all the time. You know, there are people that will get into, you know, I'm just throwing this out there. I don't know anybody like this. My arms are too big. I hate my arms. I hate my arms. I hate my arms. You know, they pick those apart, and then that becomes like an obsessive tendency where everything you're doing and you're thinking is about that body part or issue that you have become too focused on, right? So from where we are to get to where we want to be, we have to get to the satisfied part now before we can make changes. And that includes not being overly obsessive about something, not having those obsessive tendencies. Like people will get into, you know, you've got the body dysmorphia, but you know, you've got things like anorexia and like people that want to exercise themselves to the point of it's a problem, you know? And so getting everything in your mind now, like settled, like calm, being happy with the current situation, not necessarily like, yeah, I may not be.
It goes back to maybe like self-acceptance, maybe.
Right. So you accept where you are now in order to best format a way to get to where you want to be. And that includes not being obsessive about things, because that is not a healthy state to be in, right? So it's a whole lot of pieces of the puzzle that you have to get to, but being accepting of where you are now is going to be, you know, absolutely necessary.
I think you're right, because I think there's a lot of maybe like self or internet or Google search diagnosed people that think they have body dysmorphia as a disorder, and what they probably have is just a very critical self-esteem, right? Like just very critical people. I actually was just on a coaching call, and the gal told me that she doesn't mind seeing other people that are a little bit fluffy, right? Or like if somebody were to walk past her and look like she does, like that's fine. She's okay with that. But when she looks in the mirror, she's not okay with that. She doesn't like the flab. She doesn't like the, you know, the extra flab. And when I'm saying flab, guys, this woman is less than 140 pounds flab. Okay. She's not happy with it. And she's kind of I call her a very slight woman, right? Like she's slight. But if anybody else, you know, she sees somebody, it's okay on them. That's okay, you know, and so where do you go from there, right? Because that's the thought process a lot of us have when we look in the mirror, right? We're critical of ourselves. We put ourselves down. We're extremely harsh about the way we look, but we would never, ever be that harsh to somebody standing next to us that looks exactly like us about the way they look, right? Because we would be open to understanding, well, I wonder where, you know, she's been from, you know, what she came through, you know, how did she get there? And so I think it's just a matter of understanding or allowing ourselves to have that acceptance of ourselves, because I think we project that we don't accept ourselves out into society, and that's what we feel is the unacceptance that we're just
I think that it's almost become the norm. Okay. Yeah. It's just like when someone tries to give you a compliment and you cannot accept it, right? Like if somebody tells you, you look really great today. Well, you know, yeah, but I really need to lose about 10 pounds, or, you know, these pants look so much better on me last year. And, you know, I really got to do something. I got to do something about all this going on, you know? And so instead of just saying, thank you, like, it's kind of like people like to do that. That's just like the normal thing. And, you know, Lori made the comment about competitor issues. And I will say, as a competitor, this is a huge problem. It is a huge problem. And it does get into disordered patterns. Like competitors have that. And like you were talking about, Katie, with, you know, somebody picking themselves apart, this person who like thinks that they're flabby or whatever you said. like after a competition in the physique bodybuilding world, you have been so low in body fat that as soon as you gain any back, it feels wrong. And it took me years to learn how to properly exit a competition, in that my mind was not flipping out. And it goes like, even on the non-competitor standpoint, this is just like for regular people who have gotten to a level and then maybe had a rebound, and then they maybe gained a little bit of weight back. And so in their mind, that is just terrible, not acceptable, right? It's the same thing with competitors. And like, you gain 10 pounds after a show, and it's like, oh, you hate it because you've been at this competition level of leanness. The same goes if you have been in any type of program and you've made progress, and then something has happened and it has set you back. And then people have this self-defeating mentality of, how did I let myself get here? Well, oh my gosh, you came so far that a little bit of a setback, it's okay. It's that accepting thing. You've got to know, like, how do I handle it and go back to where I was, which, Lori was saying that could kind of lead into the other topic, and maybe we'll talk about that next week.
Well, before you go too far, because you've been extremely lean, and I think that, when I think of people, or that I talk to, mostly women, when we kind of feel like this body dysmorphia, I always picture women standing in front of the mirror and they grab. I don't know how many people have done it, right? You guys have seen it. Go out to the beach, go to the pool, go to anywhere that there's women wearing swimsuits right now this summer, and I swear to God, there's this going on, right? Whatever this is. You see it in little girls, everybody's covering up, and nobody wants to sit down. There's not a woman that wants to sit on the edge of the pool, right? It's either she's going to lay back in one of those chairs so she can keep everything stretched out, but nobody wants to sit at the edge of the pool unless they've got a towel wrapped around them. Why? Because they don't think that that's acceptable, that their skin folds. It's normal. And Holly will say it. It's like she was probably, who knows what body fat percentage. And I swear to God, at her leanest, there's still going to be the folds. It's still going to fold. It's still going to, find its place. And I think that that's where we are right now, is we don't nobody wants to say that because we have all of these Instagram photos that we can compare ourselves to. And so we think that that's what we're supposed to look like, is whatever, these ladies in these swimsuits are looking like. I don't know.
Even just the comparison trap of, let's say you're in a group. Let's say we have all of these women in this group. And if people post a picture, they're their groups all over Facebook, and people love to post pictures of their before and after, and we fall into that comparison trap of, well, she started here, which is about where I started, and look at her now. So see, this is where I should be. And like, it's the it's the comparison trap, and it's like on multi-level. So it's not just like the Instagram influencers that always look 100% of, beyond ridiculous, but it's like just the people in the normal Facebook groups who are comparing themselves to women that are similar. Because, we say we want people to be with like-minded individuals, right? But this is not the like-mindedness that is going to best support your growth, ladies. Like, this is not what we mean. This is not what I mean. Anyway, when I say, like, support from others is not comparing yourself to them. It's right. Not them saying, here's where I was and here's where I am. And then it makes you feel like that's where you should be. That's not going to be a good thing. So like, Katie was talking about at the pool, I had a picture. I'm going to be totally honest with y'all right now, 100%. My picture at the beach with Luke, I don't know, it was like selfie or whatever. So I'm like sitting. It was just it was not a pose shot. Like, he just held the camera up and said, hey, look at the camera, right? So I'm sitting. I see rolls. Like, Is
that the one where you've got Carter in the background?
Yes.
I didn't even notice.
On my stomach. Like,
I'm going to have to go back and look now.
Y'all know what? if you got skin, it's gonna roll.
There, that's the answer I was looking for. It's you always, like, the skin is going to move,
It's
right?
like,
Like, I mean,
okay,
it's just like behind your elbow. It's got to find some place to go.
we don't, y'all, I will tell you, 100% honesty here. I'm the worst. I don't know how to photo. I don't know how to I don't know how to filter. I don't know these apps that make things look better. I don't know how to use any of that. So if you see a picture of me on Facebook, it's like, it's me, because I don't know how to make it look any better. So I couldn't go in and make those folds go away, even if I wanted to. I don't know how to. And at this point in my life, I don't care.
Oh my God, you have to post that picture in this group now. Because I think that that's so true. Like, it's, like, you're clearly like a little bit like, oh, I don't know how that got out there, but I think that it's so normal. Like, I think if we would just normalize the human body versus like idolizing what the ideal body would be, we could start with acceptance, and then everybody can just go about doing whatever they want to do to make the progress they want to make. I think we get caught in the trap of like, well, are we all supposed to look like that? Like, there's always like these waves, like these trends, right? So
I think the thing, ladies, my key takeaway from this whole thing today is, because we try to keep this short, so we're going to try to keep this short.
We're doing good.
The thing is be 100% okay with where you are right this minute. Like, don't compare yourself. I know it's hard because you want to be somewhere else. And like, social media would make you believe that you can do all this stuff so much faster than you actually can. And y'all have heard me say it a million times. Like, it's about consistency. It's about longevity. It's about what you do over time. It's not the quick fix things. But like, if you are good with where you are now, that doesn't mean that's where you have to stay, because you don't. But in your mind, get in your mind right now that you are taking the steps to better yourself in whatever level that may be, in whatever arena that may be. But do not compare yourself to other people, and just know that every single day you show up is another step closer to that goal. That mentality of comparison and the self-defeating mode is just putting you steps back. Show up where you are every day. Be cool with where you are. Like, I don't 100% love where I'm at, but you know what? I bust my tail every day. So I'm like, I'm good. I know I'm doing what I need to do to get to where I want to be. Now, it will take a long time to see progress. So know that progress takes time. But you know what? Next year's coming. It's going to take a year to get to somewhere. Why not let that be where you want it to be? People quit because they don't see the results fast enough. And if they were just good with where they are every day and know that they're making the steps to be a different person, then in a year, you're going to be a different person. But if you keep sitting there playing it in your head of the comparison and overanalyzing and saying it's not fast enough, you're going to stay right where you are, or maybe even go backwards, So just put a wall on this side and be like, I'm good where I'm at right here. I am working hard and I'm going that way, not that way.
Yeah. And Taylor said this earlier, right? Like, she said that once she started accepting herself, that's when she started making progress. And I think that's so true, because we have to be able to accept exactly where we are now, right? If we're teasing ourselves into believing that we're somewhere we're not, right? Or we can get somewhere faster than we actually can, or it's going to take longer than it actually will, all of those things are going to be playing against you. So when you can accept where you're at and the amount of effort you are willing to put in. What are you willing to do? Not what should you do? And those are two different questions. You know, you can say, I should be doing this and I should be doing this. But if you're not willing to do it, or you don't have the resources, or you don't have the time, quit pretending that that's the problem. It's not, right? So you find out what you're able and willing to do, and you start doing that.
And see, a lot of times that just turns into an excuse, ladies. Like, you turn that, what you should do, into a reason to do nothing. Well, I should be doing this, but I can't. So I just don't do anything. You know?
Oh my gosh, we're going to talk about that when we talk. So next week, we're going to talk about that. We're going to put this down. We're going to talk about that next one when we talk about how to get back into it, because I feel like that's the beginning of falling out of it a lot of times, is the shoulds, right? And then how to get back into it with the coulds.
Okay. Excellent. Who has questions?
Yeah.
Does that make sense to y'all? Does all of this, you know? I can see Karen saying yeah, but does anybody want to?
We need whoever's in the chat right now. Like, we need a big like something. I'm accepting myself as I am now, or whatever. Or lots of fire or something. Are you guys still with us? Go smile at yourself in the mirror, ladies. I mean,
I'm trying to put in an emoji, but it won't let me.
I don't think it. Why can't we use them?
I can, but I can't find I need the fire. Y'all drop some fire.
Where's the fire at? Let me find it.
Oh wait.
Man,
here we go.
I gotta scroll for all of this. How does this work?
Yeah.
I'm about as bad at tech as Holly is. We're good friends in the tech department. My goodness. I must have missed it. I don't know if there's a space option.
I got it.
Did you get it? There it is.
Yeah, but I don't know if it was showing up. Yes. No. Oh yeah. I did.
Holly.
Yay!
Taylor got it. All right. Super. Okay, ladies. Well, if you have questions for us, drop them in the group. Whatever.
Yes, questions, always let us know, you know, topics. I think what we'll do is, I was thinking about this, I'm just throwing this on Coach Katie now. But so, you know, like maybe, what is today? Today the 14th. So the fourth, we'll say the fourth Wednesday, since we've got our topic for next week. So the last Wednesday of the month, we're going to make a Q&A session. So like literally you have to come here with your questions, because I know y'all have them, but just a lot of times we're talking about a topic and you don't want to throw them in there, or maybe they're not related. So we're going to have the final Wednesday of the month as a Q&A. So questions for the coaches. It can be about whatever. It will just be short, quick answers. My side, Katie's side, they may be the same, they may not. But then that way, whatever you've got, you know, you just bring them and throw them at us. And if you're not able to come live, you can always post them in the group beforehand. Okay, so you know what our topic is going to be next week. And then our final Wednesday of the month, we'll have questions for the coaches. Can be about whatever. So looking forward to next week.
That's exciting. I love that.
Whatever questions y'all have, just let us know. But thank you for being here. And we'll see you ladies hopefully soon.
Bye.
Bye.